About a little over 2.5 seconds different shot clock and game clock. No foul to give here, although Bulls could get it back. Caruso guarding Curry. There has been already some good individual matchups in terms of strong defenders against elite offensive players.
You see the Warriors spread the floor with shooters trying to give Steph Curry a little space to play one-on-one.
How about Caruso twice poking it away from Steph Curry? The fans here don't see that very often.
That's outstanding defense. If I'm Caruso right now, I'm trying to deny Steph Curry. I don't want to go for the hat trick. I'm fine with somebody else touching the basketball.
Inbound to Poole. Tied up. Shot clock winding down. He's going to have to throw one up. High arcing three.
Alrighty, how's everyone doing? Just getting some stuff set up in the background, so give it a second as we're listening to the Chicago Bulls and Golden State game. End of the first quarter right now. Chicago up by 6. So, of course, it's going to be a fun game to watch and kind of continue to monitor as we talk today on the charge. Like I said, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. I hope you guys are having a great day. Tyrese should actually be joining me. Let me see if he is available right now, and if he is, I will be starting the voice call, and I'll let you guys know what happens. Alrighty. Here we go, everybody. We are ready to start the show.
Schroeder.
Of course, the music plays in the background. That's cool. Alrighty, and as we kind of get everything situated, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button if you guys are new to the channel. I know that this is not necessarily the correct format that we usually do this kind of like, checking in on everybody, see how everybody's doing. But please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the more likes, the more subscribers, the more that it helps out this channel grow and develop. And like I said, I am trying to trying to change the channel a little bit, so we're working on that. Tar Heel Nation, what is up, my friend? How are you doing? And we're going to continue to monitor the situation. I think Tyrese is here.
Yeah, I'm in here.
All right, Tyrese is in here. And before, me and Tyrese talk about everything, like I said, remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe. We also have a merchandise store, so if you guys are interested in buying merch is there for you. A t-shirt, a mug, and a sweatshirt. And like I said, guys, as soon as we get to 1,000 subscribers and as soon as we kind of get a following, we can start focusing on actually giving you guys more quality content in terms of, merchandise, because I know that merchandise is definitely something that is big. And I want to give you guys something that's special besides, your standard, like, what are the Gaiden shirts? No, what are they called? Just like Gildan shirts. Like, I want to give you something better than just Gildan. So like I said, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe. And like I said, once we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll start putting a little bit more into this channel. And again, guys, I do apologize for the kind of hectic schedule. It's going to get even more hectic. I'm not going to lie to you. Coaching is just coming around the corner this next week. We start tryouts, and the basketball season is going to get underway. So my focus will probably most likely be on that, but we will still be live streaming occasionally. It probably won't be as much as often as it was before, but maybe some sort of weekend streams, I can get that started. And Sunday streams, I think, are going to have to be a thing from here on out. Again, I've already talked too much. Tyrese, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Just watched our Celtics game. A little frustrating at the end. I'm not gonna lie to you. To go into overtime.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I seen it went into overtime, I think.
Yeah, so went to overtime. We got the W, so that's all that really matters at the end. But I think we can kind of go into it. And start with our first topic of the day, Tyrese. The Celtics, we just played against the Milwaukee Bucks without Giannis, without Middleton, and it seemed like we struggled with this team more so than I thought we would. I know Drew Holiday is not a superstar in the sense of a Giannis or even a Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, but it was still a close game than I would have liked, and there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of situations going on. And we're going to get to Tar Heel Nation's comments saying Schroeder flourishing for the Celts now. He's away from the retirement home. Man, the names. We got to work on the names, Tar Heel Nation. I understand what you were going for, man. But with that being said, it's still an alarm to see that we did struggle with the Milwaukee Bucks without Giannis or even Middleton. So Tyrese, from your perspective of kind of like what you are seeing from the background, I know you didn't watch the whole game, but I think you've seen enough of Jason Tatum. The reason why I wanted to talk about this a lot more is because I think Jason Tatum's game, it's starting to rub me the wrong way. I'm not sure if it is with you.
Yeah, it has been for a while, man. I like his shot selection is just off. It's I don't even know how to describe it. It's a little frustrating at times because he'll get the ball right and he won't even look for certain people to see if they're open or not. He would just go to the basket, I mean, not go to the basket, but yeah, pretty much like try to do it all, right? Hitting jumpers like when the ball needs to be moving. And it sucks we have Brown out right now because he's one of the guys who can who's really good in transition and can kick out and yeah, it's very frustrating at times seeing that.
Yeah, the thing that kind of like gets me a lot with Dennis Schroeder, or not Dennis Schroeder, he actually played well tonight, which is I'm not sure if we're gonna get an almost 40-point game from him again. The frustrating thing about Tatum at times is I do believe that there is a great player in there. It's so ingrained in this Kobe Bryant mentality of I need to either, get a triple team on me and shoot the shot over somebody, or it's I'm going to take the sidestep three. There was one sidestep three, especially in the crucial moments of that overtime where it could have swung either way, to be honest with you. And luckily for us, the Bucks weren't as great of a three-point shooting team. I mean, we shot 29%, they shot 34%, but they didn't really seem to be as alarming as I thought it would be in overtime. I'd have to check the stats for overtime to see what the box score was for that possession, but it just felt like anytime Tatum was going to sidestep a three, anytime Tatum was going to do anything, it scared me because I didn't know what he was going to be doing. I didn't know if he was like going to make the shot, and even if he does take those jumpers, it still frustrates you as a coach or someone that's, a basketball aficionado like yourself, Tyrese, to just like see him take these shots that are just not necessary.
Yeah. I always like wonder, like, is inmate telling him anything about that? Or is he just letting him go out there and do his thing, because he's the face of the franchise. And, yeah, it's kind of a lot of questioning because it's like, other than Smart speaking up about how, both of them need to find open teammates, it's really nobody else. It's kind of just the Tatum show. Brown, to me, honestly, he hasn't even, he doesn't do a lot of that. I mean, he takes more shots than he's done before, but not like he's a better shot. He has a way better shot selection. Yeah, I honestly, man, like, I would try to get a boatload for Tatum right now. It's like, I don't know, man. Why is Brown out again?
Hamstring injury.
Oh, yeah, he's been having a lot of those.
Yeah, so those are kind of touch and go type of things, so I don't necessarily want to rush him back. But I don't think we'll get rid of Tatum, and I don't think we should. The thing that we need to do with Tatum is just send him to like a strictly like, this is going to be your role in the team, and you're going to be a scorer. But I just feel like there's a lot of east to west with Tatum's game, and there's not a lot of north to south. Like I don't feel like there's a lot of driving opportunity. Like he doesn't drive the ball with like confidence that I would expect a guy that's as his size, his height, with his body type to really go out and finish. Like those should be finishes for me. And it just doesn't seem like that's what Tatum is at all. And again, like I don't expect him to be like this all around like superstar scorer or like, trying to, dunk on people, yam on somebody. Like he has the ability to do it, but it just feels like to me he's watched too much Kobe Bryant and tries to emulate him way too much. And I talked about it last week with you and Pete. It just seems like, and I sold this from Cuffs the Legend, so I want to also make sure to give him his credit. It's like he's basically trying to do these like moves so that his trainer can get footage to show his other clients like, yo, this is going to work in the NBA. And it just like, And some of those moves are like, it's so unnecessary movement and so unnecessary with some of its stuff that it frustrates me to keep watching Tatum as a Celtics fan continue to do the same things. You know, the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again, expecting the same result.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't even watch him really like that anymore, man. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, it's very frustrating to see that play because I know what I'm getting out of it. Like, no team structure, no voice really, besides Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like Tatum, I don't know what to tell him. Like, what? Pass the ball? Okay, you told me that before, but I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the stats, man, 1 assist through 42 minutes of an NBA basketball game.
Oh my gosh!
Like that's got to tell you something, man. I mean, like, look, I know stats can be misleading when, like, you know, you can be a great passer or a great mover of the ball when you can see that, like, the passes and the space that you're creating with your dribble, and you can kind of go in the paint and, you know, create close opportunities. I thought he did a better job of that in the overtime in the fourth quarter, especially when Dennis Schroeder had the hot hand at the end. You know, Dennis Schroeder took like 27 shots in tonight's game, so you could tell that he was feeling it tonight. Obviously, almost having 40 points in a game. Still
he had 40. Oh wow,
almost 38. He had 38 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. And again, the assists are not coming. You know, our assist numbers are not very good. I mean, not saying that they were much better. You know, I know, you know, it can be misleading when you see that, you know, the Milwaukee Bucks had 23 assists compared to our 22. I know ours are more spread out because we like to move the rock. We share the rock a little bit more. But again, you know, Tatum with 1 assist is unacceptable at this stage in his career. You know, especially someone that has already kind of had that seasoned veteranship to him now. It's got, these numbers have to step up. Not saying he's got to be the whole, you know, package and total package of like, oh, I'm throwing like 5 or 8, 5 to 7 assists a game. Like, I don't expect him to do that, but I expect a little bit more movement. And there's times in Tatum's game and even in the Celtics game where you're just pulling your hair and just getting frustrated with the fact that it's like, dude, I need you to not shoot the ball every single time you get it. Like, you need to be able to, you know, get opportunities for other guys and do things that really help the offense move. And instead, I don't really see that from him. And I just get this sort of, I would say, frustration of, you know, Tatum, stop shooting the ball so much. It was the way I felt in that bubble game against Miami a long time ago.
Oh,
it was that first.
Yeah, 2020, yeah.
And it was the most frustrating thing to see in the world where Tatum, we had a chance to actually go to the Eastern Conference Finals and, you know, take a commanding lead or, you know, take the first game, I believe, in that series. And we ended up losing that and then ended up losing that series. And here we are now with no Tatum, or sorry, with no Kyrie, no Gordon Hayward, and we're stuck with what we have right now.
Yeah, I feel like he knows we're not going to be competing, so he's just trying to get his points. Because it just doesn't make any sense, man. Like, 1 assist throughout a whole game, and it went into overtime.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, if Brown wasn't so injury prone, if he was like a rock solid, not injury prone, I would trade Tatum, man. Like, he just gives me Carmelo vibes, man. Like, he's a good post scorer. Like, he can get to the cup, but he can't make his teammates better. And if you want to be how we think he should be, how he was in 17, 18,
yeah,
he needs to learn how to pass the ball. Like, he's not going to be a great player like that. He's just going to be a great scorer. And we've seen those guys before. Carmelo, we've seen who else? A number of guys, and they can't make their teammates better. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm over us. I called this though. Like, someone was telling me, like, yeah, just let it play out, see how MA does. But I knew this was going to be horrible. I called it. I knew this year was going to be horrible, man.
I mean, I didn't expect too much from this season either. You know, I think we both predicted. I think you predicted the 4th or 5th seed. I predicted a play-in game, and I think it's going to be somewhere in between, right? It's going to be that like 6 to 8 seed, even 6 to 9 seed, where we're
6 to 9, yeah.
where we're just going to be trying to struggle to see what teams are going to be in that playoff position. I think it's going to be whoever the healthiest team is at that point. And if Brown, like you said, can get rid of these kind of injury-prone situations that's going on, I would love for that to be the case, but I'm still kind of cautious with that. But let's move to Dennis Schroeder in this game. Dennis Schroeder, like I said, we've been critical of him, or at least I have been, just due to the fact that it was kind of like a last-minute signing. It was a signing that we were like, well, the Lakers didn't really want him. He was almost like a Laker reject at this point, and we all know how people feel about Laker rejects. I feel like if you're not with LeBron James and you're part of his team, sometimes you get left in the dust. But yeah. Dennis Schroeder, to his credit, played a great game tonight, had the hot hand. Obviously, I think maybe due to Brown's, absence, he was given the green light to, attack and start doing things on the offensive end. And I've never had any issues with Dennis Schroeder on the offensive end. To me, it's always been the defensive side of things that have always kind of kept me weary of a guy like Schroeder. And I think I was proven right tonight, with all these low post touches that Drew Holiday got. It led to, some great looks and 45 cuts, or, wing cuts, I should say. 45 is kind of our terminology that we use for our basketball team. But, wing cuts to, the opposite wing cutting to the basket. And it's just kind of one of those things you look at and you're just like, I understand. I think we could use him as trade bait. I think honestly, this game, and I know a lot of people are, who was it that was texting me this? I think it was one of my friends was texting me this, like, yo, are you guys glad that you kept Dennis Schroeder? I'm like, no, I'm hoping that this is trade bait so we can get some
right.
team.
I hope his value goes up, right? Like that's what I was thinking. Like, man, when you told me that, I'm like, thank God. Like, hopefully now he can get some value and we can try to ship him out and try to maybe even if he can have a couple more games like this, maybe we don't have to put so much into trade for Ben. Maybe we can give him up and I don't know, a couple first rounders and Al Horford or something. Mm-hmm. Because man, we need a point guard bad.
Mm-hmm. I wanted Lonzo this whole time, man.
You said what?
I wanted Lonzo so badly.
Oh yeah, I know.
I will keep saying that we should have gone after Lonzo this offseason. And I think it would have been a great combo, but I like you said, I think the owners are they're kind of not greedy, I would say, but they're kind of cheap to some extent, right? They're like, we paid Tatum, we paid Brown. Yep. I don't want to spend any more money besides, getting the role player guys and just kind of having our team based around those guys. And
they don't honestly, Bernie, they don't care about winning. Like if the Celtics cared about winning, they would put the chips on the table and start signing guys or trading for guys. Mm-hmm. The Warriors did, like the Raptors did when they went after Kawhi. They put their chips on the table and they doubled down and they said, hey, we're going to go after this guy because we know we have the pieces. We just need one more piece. Wick is not willing to put his chips on the table and go after guys who can be good contributions to our team. Mm-hmm. So it's clearly shown, man. Like they talk about this banner and everything, but it's like you got to put your chips on the table, man. Like at the, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't just speak it verbally. Like you have to actually put your money where your mouth is and get quality.
Exactly.
These guys are undersized, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a frustrating situation to kind of look at it. And again, you look at all the stuff that we have here for the Boston Celtics right now. Marcus Smart, I think, played a much better game tonight. He kind of had the hot hand in the fourth quarter. I thought he did a really good job of scoring the rock at times. Again, he had that verbal confrontation or that kind of verbal outcry of like, Tatum and Brown, you guys are ball hogging the ball. Let everyone else have a chance at shooting and doing their things. And, I think to his credit, I think that's worked to kind of at least ease the tensions in Boston. Because I do feel like there was some tension between all the players. But at the same time, I don't blame Tatum and Brown for taking those shots because no one on this team really has proven to be a consistent scorer like those guys have. I think guys like Langford and Naismith, guys that are, kind of the players that we drafted with those infamous draft picks that Danny Ainge stole from every team. Finally that trade cycle has been completed. Romeo Langford, I thought did a great job on defense, but offensively, I just didn't think he brought it to the point where I was impressed with some of the drives that he had in the game. I could notice some drives in there where it was just like, those are some weak takes, and you need to be stronger, especially if you're trying to, be the sort of player that we thought you were going to be, right? Tyler Hero got taken in front of you, or I think we took Langford in front of, Tyler Hero. Whatever you think of Tyler Hero, I still think Tyler Hero is like a pretty good player. Not saying that he's great or amazing.
Yeah, but he's a solid player. He's a
solid player.
He's a starter.
Yep, starter.
He's not a scrub. This guy can get what? He can get you what, 27? Any given night off the bench.
Maybe not 27, but he can at least give you like a solid 14 to 12 to 14. I think he can give you 12 to
per game.
I think he can give you a solid 12 to 14 points in any game. And what has Romeo Langford given us these past couple of years? Nothing really. I mean, maybe like a couple of cool handshakes for Tatum and Brown.
Yeah. But that goes to my point. This guy Tyler Hero, he can go off the bench, come off the bench and get you 30 any night. Mm-hmm. He can play, man. He can really play. And we could have honestly, I think when a couple years ago we could have traded for him when his value was low.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't want him.
Yeah. What's interesting to me, Romeo Langford, Naismith, I feel like is never going to get the minutes that he really needs to see if we do have something with him, which kind of sucks. I feel like MA goes with a very short rotation when it comes to bench players. The one player I'm very curious to see, because I thought he played really well last season, and for some reason it's just not been included in playing time, and he's been getting actually a lot of DMPs lately, or at least in this game he got a DMP. Peyton Pritchard, man. I understand he's Danny Ainge's son. I'm not sure if he's injured or not, or what the situation is for Pritchard. But when I look at his games so far, and let me see if I can find his game logs, it seems like his minutes have greatly reduced from his first season to where he's at right now. Now, I believe last year he was averaging some pretty good points per game, and this year now it's he's averaging only 2.2. What's up, Sean? How you doing, man? 1.8 rebounds, and just not really being part of it.
Because we have Dennis now, and he doesn't want to upset Dennis. So, that's the only thing I can think of, because Pritchard's solid, man.
Yeah, man. It's frustrating because I think Peyton Pritchard can actually give us something, and right now it just seems like it hasn't really. I would say I don't know if Udoka has a vendetta against him. Not saying he was anything special, right? Not saying that he was this sort of superstar, all-star player off the bench. But what I will say is that he averaged almost 10 points a game coming off the bench. With almost 20 minutes a game, and now it seems like those minutes have been cut in half, and now is only playing about 11 to 10 minutes a game, averaging 2.2. And I just, for a guy that shot 41% last year, I know he didn't really take that many shots. He took 6 a game last year, to now I think he's only taking 3 a game this year. I would say it's a very kind of weird dynamic to see that he is not really being involved in any sort of I'm trying to think of the right words. He's not being involved in the game plan, which is weird to me.
Yeah, and the only thing I can think of is they're either trying to save him for a trade and not have him get injured again, or I don't honestly understand that either. He's a solid player, man. He deserves to get some minutes. How the hell is Grant Williams getting minutes over Peyton Pritchard? It just doesn't make any sense. So, again, somebody's pulling the strings on this doll. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's Wick. I don't know if it's I don't know who it is, but things are starting to look different. You got Peyton Pritchard on the bench. You have what? You got Tatum just taking all these shots, only getting one assist. I don't know, man. I think it's the assistant coaches too. Like, I know they had Jerome there. They had some other guys there who were like, used with who had a good relationship with the Jays, and even when Horford was there, and they're all gone. Like, it's a whole new cast now. So I don't think they're holding even like the team accountable or, speaking up or anything. Like, I feel like it's just a whole like free for all type going on. So that's really dangerous, man. It seems to me, as far as I'm concerned, the season's over for us. Like, unless there's some type of big package going down, like where you're shipping out like a Brown or a Tatum and you're getting some really good pieces, and then you can start from there. I just can't see turning the corner and just going on a big run, a 10-game winning streak. This team is not that. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 9th, 8th, 9th seed, maybe even 10. And then they're going to say, hey, they need this, but they're not going to go get it. It's like, dude, we've been needing a center for 2 years? We still haven't got one.
I think the point guard position to me has been the biggest hole, and I know that
that is too. But come on, you can't have 6'6" Grant Williams in the front court, like in the front, like just getting annihilated.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I guess
imagine
I guess that's the reason why you start Horford, right, and have like Grant Williams come off the bench. It's kind of like that versatile, like Draymond big. And I understand, there's some frustration and some cause for pause in that sort of situation. But what I will say is that, like, I also don't think that this is the same Horford that we had like years ago.
Exactly.
I think this Horford is much older. You can see that he doesn't move as he once did, even just a couple years back. I'm not even talking like his Atlanta Hawk days. I'm just even talking about his first Boston days. And I just felt like he wasted his time in Philly. And to me, like, when I think of the Celtics right now, I just feel like this is kind of a misfit team, and I just think that I just want something, man. I want some big changes, man. Otherwise, it's gonna be, like you said, a frustrating season of just empty promises and just same old Celtics after having so much success in the last couple of years, with finding Tatum, with finding Brown, and building the team around those guys along, adding Kyrie Irving, adding Gordon Hayward, and just not, utilizing this team to its fullest potential it's a frustrating thing. And Sean, you said, I think the Celtics need a dominant center more than a point guard, but what do I know? Yeah, exactly. What do you know, Sean, huh? What do you know? No, I'm just playing, Sean. I do agree with you that I think if a center presented itself in, whether it's Karl Anthony Towns, I know that you're not a big fan, Tyrese, but I my number one is still Sabonis. Like, I still think that we can steal Sabonis, but it depends on how the Pacers do this season, and I think we could actually get him.
Yeah, I don't know if we can get him, because who would be stupid enough to actually give up a guy like that, who's probably the top 2 best center in the league right now, and was last year, but was one under the radar. I guess you could say all-star, right? So I don't know, man. Like, I think he would be a very good piece for us. Very good. And then maybe try to go after, I don't know, man, like, if we can somehow, I don't know, man, like, even trading, like, I was thinking maybe even trading Jalen for Sabonis and then trying to get Ben, that would be pretty good.
I mean, it'd be a different look and different dynamic, but the problem is,
but we would have size, we would have rebounding, we wouldn't be able to hide anymore. We would be the only concern would be is the bench.
Yep. But I think you can
space. That's the only thing, because it's like, how much assets are you giving away for a guy like Sabonis? Is Jaylen Brown enough?
I'm ready to get rid of Richardson. I'm ready to get rid of Naismith. I'm ready to get rid of Langford. I'm ready to get rid of Parker. And his Cantor. I'm definitely ready.
All those Chipotle guys.
I'm ready, the Chipotle crew. You know what's crazy? Just to go on a side tangent. I looked this up and I talked to Sean today. Chipotle stock is like $2,000, and I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, their stock is very high. They don't have a lot of shares outstanding, so
Yeah.
that's probably one of the reasons why. But yeah, it is crazy.
Hilo. All right, my boy Pete. I know he couldn't join tonight just because I had coaching and just everything was going. Oh yeah, you texted me this. We'll talk about it in a second, Pete. Before we kind of continue to, kind of go on a different train and talk about other teams and players. But I mean, the last thing I'll say about the Boston Celtics is I think that this is a game, again, where it shows that we have an inability to close when it matters most and play with the lead. I still feel like we're a little shaky in that aspect, even with Brown gone. And to me, it's just one of those situations I look at it and I just want to make sure that for Boston Celtics fans to not get your hopes up too much that you're going to expect like this automatic, like 4th to 5th seed Celtics that you're used to. I think we're gonna have to lower the expectations a little bit, and we're gonna have to start to think about what we're gonna do for the future. Do we trade away some assets?
House, man. Like honestly, I like not saying the Jays, but like everyone else is up for sale. Because I just don't know. Like pretty much everybody is displaceable. It's either they're too short, they're too old, or they just don't have game. They're decent, but they're too young. We don't need young guys, man. Like these guys are in their prime. They're not even in their prime, and we got guys who are barely out of college. Like we we need some vets, man. I don't understand it. But then again, that goes to my thinking of Wake being cheap, Yeah. He gave Tatum $195 million. That's on his balance sheet. He gave Brown 120, which was a steal in my opinion. Then he had to get Al Horford, which still has a pretty hefty contract.
Yep, and I'm ready to get rid of that contract.
And the only reason why he went after him is because he felt like his money was safe there because Al played for his organization. Al knows the offense, but Al's not the same. Yep. So it's kind of like it's kind of wasting his money because he's getting no production. He's kind of a liability because, I mean, what could he really do? Bring the ball up the floor? Like, he's not the same of what he was getting 14, 7 and 8. He's done, man. Like, his contract is pretty massive for his play of game.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that, Tyrese. We'll see what happens, man. This is going to be, I would say it's going to be, like I said, a frustrating season with highs and low lows, and it's just going to be a roller coaster of a ride.
It's going to be really bad. I think it can, if Brown is out, if Brown gets injured or something like that, and it's only Tatum, I think we could be talking about lottery.
Amen.
Because you got a lot of young guys who just really don't care about winning right now. Like they're just trying to get paid and put their talent on display to different scout or different GMs or different teams. Yep. They're not worried about winning right now. They already know they're not the focal point of the team, so they're just trying to showcase for people who are looking. You know what I'm saying? Who are looking.
Exactly.
So this can get really ugly quickly.
Yeah.
And Ime Udoka is not the guy to try to turn it around because he has no experience.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And again, guys, we'll see what happens with the Boston Celtics. This is going to be a fun and frustrating season. I titled it the most frustrating team because I do believe that the talent is there in terms of like the superstar name and power, but the play on the court just doesn't see it. But let us know.
Good. It looks decent on paper. It looks good on paper, right? But when you put it all together, it doesn't mesh.
I definitely agree there. So, like I said, guys, let us know in the comment section down below. What do you guys make of the Boston Celtics? Are you concerned if you're a Boston Celtics fan? Or are you saying, no, the Celtics are fine. We're going to still be a 4th or 5th seed in the Eastern Conference? Let us know in the comment section down below. Alrighty. I think we can kind of just do some subscriber questions that we have here really quick before we go on to some topics. I do want to talk to you about the Ben Simmons. I know my boy Pete's going to roll his eyes right now about that one, but we got to talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. Do you also want to get into the Bulls and the Lonzo Ball and who else was it? Lonzo Ball and Kyle Lowry thing going on with executives might be getting suspended and up to $10 million fines.
Ooh.
Did you see that?
I did not see that. I need to check that out. Where'd you get
Yeah,
that news at?
it was on ESPN, I think. Executives are facing suspensions and possible draft picks being taken away and up to $10 million of fines of each.
Ah, here we go. Found it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's we'll get into that in just a second, but I do want to answer some subscriber questions before we get going into this topic. Let's talk about this first, and then we'll talk about the Ben Simmons thing, because I feel like this is a little bit more newsworthy. So, Sean, you said, what do you think of Chet Holmgren's stat line in the season opener? I'm very curious to see Chet Holmgren against Texas tomorrow. I'll be watching that game closely. Like I said, I might be streaming Saturday or Sunday, but I think I want to stream Sunday and kind of get a good night's rest and kind of talk about the Boston Celtics. Or sorry, not Celtics. They're on my mind just for how frustrating they are. But, talk about Chet Holmgren and his night against Texas, because I'll be very curious to see how he plays against them. My boy Pete, you said, would you still take Cade over Mobley? I think Cade's got a presence to him. Again, I think these questions all have to do with the what's going on with their team currently, right? I think when I look at a team, I think Mobley's in the right situation with Cleveland, even though they're running some big lineup meta that I've never seen before in the NBA. But I think I would have to see them in different teams. Obviously, that makes sense, right? You put Cade on another team. I will say that Mobley is more versatile than Cade. As much as I think Cade can play off ball, I think that Mobley can play basically 3 through 5. He can play any of those positions, just with how versatile he is, just with how quick and how long he is at his size to run at that speed that he does. I makes him so versatile. I definitely misread Mobley, and I thought he was going to be. I think he kind of is like a Jaren Jackson Jr., but Jaren Jackson Jr. to me is a little bit more injury prone. And Mobley has yet to show that. So, if Mobley can play with JJJ with a higher upside to him, I do think that Mobley could potentially be better than Cade. But I still think I have Cade, just with the fact that I always trust ball handlers and point guards more than bigs, and how the importance of them in the game. I understand bigs make it a lot easier. But I do like Cade, but again, it is starting to not be this sort of one-sided, the Pistons obviously won and the Cavs lost. It's not looking like that at all. I don't know what you think, Tyrese.
Cade, I seen one game of Cade. He looked pretty fluid. I mean, he has some bounce. I mean, he has some. He's a decent young player. And you said who else? Sorry,
Cade Cunningham.
Cade Cunningham.
I know he had his struggles.
Oh yeah, Cade. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, Cade. Cade. He looked pretty solid. You said who else was it though? It was another guy.
Mobley.
I haven't really seen Mobley. But Cade looks pretty decent from the couple games or highlights I've seen of him.
Yeah, I think for me, I look at Cade and I look at it as a guy that you can build your franchise around. Where I feel like Mobley, I think, is the second guy on the team. Not saying that he won't be a guy that you build your team around, but you can definitely use him in the offense and utilize him in many different positions, especially on defense, man. If you have a guy that you can easily just switch onto, or even if it's just a quick, I'm going to be there for a second, and then as soon as I can quickly go back to my man. I think that's where the versatility of Mobley will be. And that's why I think the Cavaliers are kind of in this sort of weird, successful, I would say, team when it really shouldn't work. But I do think that there is something to be said about this Cavaliers team at the moment. Again, they're the 4th seed right now. They're 8-5. They've kind of had the start before. But I do think that Mobley does have definitely has a bright future in this league, and kind of, allows a guy like Chet Holmgren, who we just talked about, and kind of the questions that Sean brought up, does allow a guy like him to not be okay, Chet Holmgren's skinny, but, it allows teams to be okay, he's skinny, but he is very versatile. And then let's see here. Yeah, there's not high quality on both sides in the game. It wasn't right until Mobley started playing there. The Cavs have been asked for years. He's been transferring there instantly. Don't doubt it, my boy. Hey, man, I'm not doubting it. I think that the Cavaliers are in a very interesting situation. Again, I think Garland is going to be better than Sexton, and that's just my opinion. I think Garland, to me, has that type of game that is very versatile, where Sexton, I'm not so sure. I think the Cavaliers could do with or without him, but they're obviously succeeding with him at the current moment. Sean, you said Mobley and Chet have such similar games. Kind of crazy, but Chet is better passer and shooter, in my opinion. I do believe
Chet is nice.
Chet
kid is nice.
Chet is nice, and I do want to talk about Chet and Paolo Banchero. I think both those guys are going to be so freaking. I think it's going to be a tight race, Sean and Pete and Tyrese as well. I think it's going to be a tight race for who's the number one pick in the draft next year.
It's going to be Chet, like just because of the hype. Gonzaga, they're going to go far. This kid's been hyped up since I can remember. He's going to be the number one pick.
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be closer than people think. Like I think these two guys, like they're so, like you said, I think Chet plays a little bit more of that like long, athletic, kind of like you said, like a Mobley-esque type of player. Paulo to me reminds me of like, who's he remind me of? Almost kind of like a mixture of. He kind of has some Julius Randle in his game, but like with kind of like the game of like, with like the shooting ability of like a Carmelo. Like it's like, it's a very like interesting matchup. Like I thought he was going to be more like Amari Stoudemire, but I think he could actually be a little bit better than Amari was.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying? I was watching.
It's okay. Sean, his passing is good, man. Like you have to watch some of the game that he played the other night. He has some good passing vision. Not saying that he's going to be like this outstanding passer, but he is definitely a very, very capable passer. Like I'm not saying that he's like A+, but I'm saying that he's at least a B+ in his passing, where I believe Chet is, maybe an A-, to some extent.
What do you think about Imani Bates? Do you think he can climb the ranks?
I can't remember if Imani Bates is in this draft class or he's in the next class. I know he reclassified, but I need to see where Imani Bates is.
Well, he's at Memphis right now.
Okay, so he's official. Okay, I just don't know if he's going to be eligible to be in the draft, but he did drop 17 in his debut. I'll have to watch.
He's 18, isn't he?
He's 17 at the current moment. And I think you have to be.
I'm pretty sure he'll be 18 by next year.
I think he needs to be 19 by the time the draft comes around or something like that.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so I think he has to wait another year. But I think this is I think Penny Hardaway is doing a great job at Memphis. And I think that by having Imani Bates there a year early to work on him, I think it'll be a good thing for him.
That's he's already ahead of the ball right there. He's ahead. Because there's not a lot of 17-year-olds at the collegiate level 1 year early, And then he might even go to the G, or do you have to be 19 in the G League too, right?
No, you don't have to be 19 in the G League. I think maybe you do have to. No, you have to. I think you have to be 18 in the G League again.
Okay.
I just.
So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he goes to the G League after this year, since he's not eligible for the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And he can get a pretty big salary there too, instead of being at Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm curious to see how he's going to perform. I know that the measurements at, I think, what was it, like a Memphis Pro Day or something like that, or maybe it was some other Pro Day. I don't remember what it was. And I know there was like a lot of like cause for pause. But I think they'll be fine. I think it'll be okay. I mean, again, I think that a lot of people compared him to Kevin Durant. I know that was kind of one of the players that was actually highlighted in that Chet Holmgren, like it was like an ESPN high school game between Chet Holmgren and Imani Bates. I still think Imani Bates will be a solid player in the league. But again, I need to see how he does against like different competition.
Yeah. We'll see, man. Like, I think they play Kentucky, right? Because they're in the SEC, correct?
I believe Memphis is SEC. Are they SEC? I don't remember if they're
I
SEC or not.
think they are. I think they're SEC. If they are and they play Kentucky and he balls out, oh God, he's gonna be on some like KG type level, like 17, barely in college, already in college, I should say. And if he drops 30 on Kentucky at 17, he's gonna be like everybody's gonna be waiting for him when he's eligible. And not just them, other great teams in the SEC as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to probably be a generational talent. Imani Bates is, in my opinion. He just has that fiery edge, and he has like that Kevin Durant type pull up. Like he'll just pull up in your face. I've seen some highlights of him, man. This kid will just pull up in your face and drain it. Like his little, he just reminds me of KD, man. Like I don't know. He's very good, man. He's very good.
He's definitely very good. I think, he obviously led the team in his game against Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles. Obviously, it's Tennessee Tech. They don't necessarily have the best players in the world, but, I still think that's impressive to score 17 in your first game, even as a young 17-year-old. Right, 17. We're not even talking like 18 or 19. He's a 17-year-old coming into the game, and you're wondering, like, what can he do? But again, I need to see the Memphis Tigers. They're ranked 12th in the nation, so that's a very interesting rank. Their next like big test, I feel like, is either going to be St. Louis University or they're going to be playing Western Kentucky, which I think is a great matchup. They play some pretty. I need to see their full schedule. I would love. Let me see who they play.
Okay.
So they play Western Kentucky, Virginia Tech, Georgia, Ole Miss, Murray State. They play Alabama. They play Tennessee. Okay, some pretty decent competition. They play Houston, which I like.
Yeah,
Houston's usually a top team in their conference. I think they're in the same conference.
No Kentucky.
Actually. No Kentucky, but they do play against Alabama, who is a pretty tough matchup. That
great defensive team,
great shooting team, and Tennessee, which is hit or miss for me when it pertains to it. But again, we'll see what happens. I think Imani Bates is a very very interesting player, and like I said, he's gonna basically have 2 years of eligibility or 2 years in Memphis, and I think that'll be a good thing for him to have those 2 years. Let's see here. Let's see if I missed anything. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. What's up, Justin? Happy Friday. Hopefully your Bulls don't get suspended for a couple games because of this next story we're going to talk about after we talk about some more questions. Sean, you said, Bernie, look at that. The Wizards run the East. Did the Wizards just they just win their game or something?
No. Well, I think they're first in the East, correct?
Oh, yeah, they are first. It's on my screen. They're first in the East at 8-3. They're tied with the Bulls.
They're...
No, what were you going to say, Justin? Oh, sorry. Tyrese, man, it's been a long day.
No, I was just going to say, it's pretty crazy how they are. They've been squeaking by because it's like, damn. At one time, I think they were like the fourth, and then they climbed all the way up to first.
Yeah, man, I think
they're like tied.
I don't think Rui's even played for them yet, which is going to be scary when he does play for them. I don't think he's played for them yet.
You said who?
Rui. Maybe he has played for them.
Oh, yeah. He hasn't even played.
Yeah, Rui hasn't even played yet, but this team is definitely,
Montrez, Kyle Kuzma.
Kuz.
Yeah. He came up clutch for him, too. I think he had a clutch 3 for him like a few nights ago.
He did. That he did. Alrighty, Tyrese. I think we got to talk about this next story, and let me preface this by saying that I'm not sure if Justin is ready for this news, and I'll read it. I'll read it first, and then we'll talk about it, Tyrese. So, sources: NBA's tampering probe into Lonzo Ball, Kyle Lowry acquisitions in advanced stages. This is, of course, coming from Adrian Wojnarowski, obviously a much credited reporter for ESPN, has to say this: the NBA's probe into possible pre-free agency tampering centered on the sign and trade acquisitions of Chicago's Lonzo Ball and Miami's Kyle Lowry appears to have reached the advanced stages, sources told ESPN on Friday. The NBA has conducted numerous interviews with teams, executives, and player agents and has gathered electronic messages of front office executives of 4 teams: Chicago, New Orleans, Miami, and Toronto over the past 3 months, sources said. The league could reveal its findings and any penalties in the near future. Obviously, ESPN talked about this on August 7th about there being a tampering investigation, as I'm paraphrasing this paragraph. The NBA instituted more stringent penalties in the case of the 2019, including raising the maximum fines of $10 million, and including the possibility of suspending team executives, forfeiting draft picks, and even voiding of contracts. The possibility of the contracts being voided is the least likely scenario if punished is rendered. Sign and trade arrangements are more complicated and time-consuming than typical free agent player signings, and often need a greater level of discussion and negotiating time to complete. Obviously, we talked about, Lonzo Ball deal. We talked all about that stuff. And it goes on to talk about the story earlier about actually Bogdan Bogdanovic, who the Milwaukee Bucks lost a 2022 second-round pick for tampering charges that was brought up against him. And that's how they lost Bogey, and he ended up going to the Atlanta Hawks. Now, I've read the thing. It hasn't really stated that it's, they haven't really put out anything criminal or anything damning evidence as of yet, Tyrese. But what do you think the fines will be for these executives or even for these teams? I mean, I feel like it doesn't matter about the executives other than the money, but do you think that these teams will get punished with draft picks? Do you think that they'll get punished with maybe lower salary caps? What do you think is the punishment that they'll get?
I think the punishment will probably be executive suspension, and their pay might be cut. The executives will be probably some draft picks, and probably north of 10 million, probably around 8.
Yeah.
Just so that way different teams can, see what's going on and they can learn from that and seeing that. But yeah, it's going to be pretty hefty. You're talking about executives being punished or, something close to $10 million of fine and draft picks. So teams are going to look at this and say, oh yeah, we're not doing that. Or if we were doing that, we're not doing it next time because we could get caught, So I think it's a good learning, a good learning.
Yeah. I think the crazy thing to me is going to be, I feel like these executives and especially, teams trying to do these sign and trades, I feel like they keep going and tugging at the, proverbial coattails of, of somebody, right? I feel like they continue to pull, they continue to pull, man. And I feel like it's going to be a situation where one time they're going to pull too hard and the NBA is going to react very negatively. And then you're going to see a situation where they're going to say, we're going to take away your first round pick. We're going to take away everything. We're going to take stuff away from you. And I just feel like that's what's going to be happening from here on out. I don't think we're necessarily going to get, no longer the second round picks and other things like that. And I just feel like this is going to be one of those things that you're going to look at. And I feel like it's going to be bad news bears.
It's going to be a big learning lesson for a lot of teams, organizations. It's nothing to take lightly because it is policy, right? So, yeah, that's because they were investigating this since last summer, or this summer, or was it at the end of 2020? I forget. I think this has been going on for a while.
Yeah, it seems like it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, I think they barely, and at that time it was just rumors. I think it was the beginning of spring or something like that. This is going to be a big learning
Final
lesson
Four
for
game.
a lot of
That's how good these teams could be this year.
executives. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. And Sean, I will grant your request for a little bit, just because I think this is actually going to be a good game. But to kind of finish the story off before we go on to kind of a live stream about, I do kind of want to watch this UCLA game because I think it will be fun to see Johnny Juzang play. I think the last thing I'll say to this, Tyrese, is just, it's still a wait and see to, figure out the process of this proverbial sort of tampering rule that's been going on in the league. And I think it's going to bite them in the butt, man, one day. And we're going to see a situation where I think it's gonna bite one team in the butt one of these times, and it'll be very curious to see which team it will be.
Yeah, I think so too. I think sooner or later it's going to be some type of some team or players or executives getting caught on the phone and recording it or something. It's going to be something to where it's, because I think this still could be going on, right? Like,
yeah,
$8-10 million, like that's nothing, right? Like for a player of, that could really move the needle. Like, okay, like, but if executives actually get caught, like recorded or something like that, like that can be different, because then they would be like, okay, no, we can't trust anybody, right? Like, our words aren't, secure. So we'll see, man. Like, we'll see about all this.
I mean, it's not like, to me, it's funny, right? Because, like, I look at a situation where it's like, the players can basically do whatever they want. They could talk to each other and be like, yo, you should come here. The league isn't going to do anything about that. The only thing they're going to do about it is, like, the executives making the decisions, which is, I mean, I get it to an extent. Wow, they really missed the big man on that role. But, to kind of finish this sort of situation at hand that we're talking about, I am of the belief that we're gonna really see a team get screwed over tremendously by this. Whether it's you are not allowed to sign him, they're gonna basically void his contract, or like basically they're gonna force a trade, which I'm not sure how they could legally do that. I don't know if there'd be a lot of like legality against that. Because I think it would be messed up because the player did deserve that contract. It's not like the player, nefariously did anything wrong, but, people can say different things.
Yeah, man. Like I say, like we're going to have to wait and see. Like, I'm curious to see how this is going to be handled, because, even though it's drop in the bucket of a fine for them. What, like $10 million, but draft picks are viable. Like, that's nothing to play around with. But then executives, that can hurt them. Like, that can get them fired more than just a suspension.
Yeah, man. We'll see what happens, man. It's going to be a very it's going to be a very interesting scenario. I will say that.
Yeah, it will.
As we're kind of watching the game in the background, did you kind of want to talk quickly? I'm not sure what your time limit is, Tyrese, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Do you want to quickly talk about this sort of Rich Paul? I would say this is more of a Rich Paul story than a Ben Simmons story.
Sure. Yeah, we could talk about it really quick.
Yeah, let's talk about this, because I do think that this is kind of a big story. And that is, of course, Rich Paul saying that the 76ers have exacerbated the mental health issue for Ben Simmons. And the article goes as this from Shams. Ben Simmons believes the recent actions from the 76ers are exacerbating his mental health issues, Rich Paul told Shams of The Athletic. I truly believe the fines, the targeting, the negative publicity shined on the issue. That's very unnecessary and has furthered the mental health issue for Ben, Paul said. Either you help Ben or come out and say he's lying. Which one is it? The 76ers told The Athletic that is absolutely not the case. The 76ers have been fully supportive of Ben's process and have worked to provide him with all possible resources. Ben has no timetable to return to game action. In this case, we have to get Ben help and not put finances above mental health. As an agent, I understand contractual obligations and I hold myself accountable in the business. But if someone is telling you something, we can no longer turn a blind eye in today's world. This is no longer about a trade. This is about finding a place where you can help Ben get back his mental strength and get back on the floor. I want him on the floor. playing the game that he loves. I want Ben on the floor, whether that is in a 76ers uniform or another uniform. That's not up to me, but I want him in a state where he can resume play. We want to cooperate and want him to get back on the floor. This to me, look, I am a big LeBron James fan. I will not hide that fact. But I think Rich Paul is on one for these like egregious, I would say like almost borderline, just absolutely asinine comments. Like, look, dude, you can be all about not the monetary stuff, right? Because that's his biggest complaint, right? His biggest complaint is, oh, you know, we don't really care. It shouldn't be profits over people. Is basically his argument. But what I will say then is, okay, if it's not about that, why don't we do this? When Ben Simmons is ready to return, the money will be waiting there for him. So when he's cleared to play, and, you know, we'll send our doctors, and you can have your doctors, and we can have, of course, a third-party doctor have, you know, medical opinions and provide some, you know, some opinions, right? You know, that's why you go to multiple doctors to get a second opinion, to get a third opinion, to make sure that this is the right scenario to go down. I think that you don't pay him until he's ready to come back. And it's not about not having the money or anything like that. Provide him all the stuff. We'll give you everything, but we're not paying you the contract because you're not with us right now. I don't understand Rich Paul's thing, right? If you do believe that your client has a mental health problem, why are you coming out and saying that the 76ers think that he's lying? I don't think the 76ers think he's... Well, maybe some people do, right? I don't want to put words in people's mouth. But if your client is really suffering from mental health issues, you wouldn't be coming up with these accusations unless there's some nefarious means that you're going through to somehow get Ben Simmons paid. Again, I know my boy Pete's rolling his eyes right now because we keep talking about this. But to me, this is just not okay.
Yeah, it really isn't, man. Like, I just think it's bullshit.
You said it, not me.
Honestly, yeah, like I just really do think it is bullshit of Rich Paul saying that. Like, this guy could have came out and said this 6 months ago. He could have said this 3 months ago. He could have said this a year ago. He could have said this a year and a half ago when the pandemic first started. Yeah. It just looks like smoke to me how his agent is coming out and saying all this shit, and he could have been said this. I think this is just Rich Paul losing some of his money that he has on contract with Ben, and just trying to have pressure on the Sixers to trade him. But if he really had mental issues or whatever he's saying he'd had, why didn't Ben come out and say it? Why does his agent have to say it? It makes no sense. Kevin Love came out and said it, right?
Yeah.
Who else came out and said it? DeMar DeRozan came out and said it. There was plenty, a couple others. I can't think of their names, but come on, this guy, he's too much, man. I just think that since Rich Paul kind of has a voice, you know, he's LeBron James' agent and whatnot, but it's just bullshit. It's just bullshit, man. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy he has health issues. Come on, man, like mental issues, I should say. He's facing something like that. Like, if you were, why are you only demanding to be out in California? It sounds like you're trying to have a good vacation time, right? You don't care about winning.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Sean, Rui Hachimura, also another person that is dealing with it as well. And again, you know, this to me is what frustrates the hell out of me. And you kind of said it. It's BS. I'll be a little bit more PG about it. You can keep doing your thing, Tyrese. But like, it's true. Like, you know, first of all, he comes out and, you know, says, I'm not going to play for you. Then it's, okay, I'm going to go to practice. Then it turns into, oh, well, I'm hurt. Like, I have an injury. And then it's like, oh, well, now it's mental health. Like, to me, this to me is what's absolutely asinine about the way that Rich Paul is going about this. I know it's frustrating that your client's not where, you know, that Daryl Morey is stubborn, and it's not really up to your client to dictate his future. Like, once his
He
contract is up.
dictated it though.
Yeah, he dictated by signing the contract. He could have said, "I don't like the team that I'm on. I'd rather leave." And that's the thing. And that's the thing that frustrates me the most. Is like, you had a chance a couple years ago. If you thought that the 76ers team wouldn't work out, it's absolutely. I would say it's absolutely. I think it slaps people in the face that actually do have this health issue, right? Like, people that actually do suffer this stuff. DeMar DeRozan, Rui Hachimura, Kevin Love, those guys they've come out and talked about it and try to be, I would say they try to be a man about it, right? Someone that really owns up to it. And meanwhile, you have Ben Simmons who, again, whether he has it or not, he might. I don't know. But these other places, these other avenues that he went down, just say to me, like, maybe you didn't even have it in the first place, man. And again, I don't get frustrated a lot. Obviously, Celtics are the one thing that frustrates me the most with the title of the stream. But to me, it's like it just frustrates the hell out of me.
And it contradicts himself because he tries to say his client tries to stay out of everything, but his client demanded where he wanted to go. Mm-hmm. Not Rich. Rich didn't come out and say he wanted that. He didn't put out an article or a newsletter and say he only wants to be to a California team. That was Ben Simmons. Yeah, Ben Simmons said it to one of those reporters out there, and they reported it. Yeah. So it's just BS, man. It is, because now it seems like they're playing this. They're trying to put this story together. Okay, you missed out on $8 million, right? That's showing. And then we can just say you have mental problem, because they're going to be like, well, he did skip a $9 million paycheck. I know what they're doing.
Yeah. And
they're trying to get him. They're trying to get him to California. They're trying to get him to where he wants to be, where Daryl Morey, because Daryl Morey's a numbers guy. He was like that in Houston. He doesn't care. He cares about getting the best deal. Yep. And making all the and having this tax out and having the tax rate low as possible.
Exactly. And
he'll deal with the rest later.
And that's the thing. Like, you're dealing with someone that probably is a little bit, I would say, like, when I think of Daryl Morey, it's like someone that's even more, I would say, just as, stubborn might be the right word, but just as stubborn as Rich Paul and Ben Simmons. Like Daryl Morey, like we talked about, is not going to accept anything lower than $1.25. And I stole this from Chris Broussard. Not going to want anything lower than $1.25 to the dollar.
You're right.
And that's just reality. And I think Ben Simmons has to just kind of suck it up and play until he's in the last year of his contract, and then he can finally leave. I think that's where I'm kind of at. And Sean, you said Rui had to carry the weight of the entire country on his shoulder. Japanese flag bearer Simmons just got criticized in the press conference. They said mental health problems because they know that no team would come and call him a liar. They could have been eaten up by the media. They started with saying it was his back. That didn't work. And you're right. Like, I think it started out as like, okay, let's see if Daryl Morey really is about that life. Let's see if he really is going to not want to trade me. And Daryl Morey said, yeah, we're not trading you, bro. Like, you're going to stay on the team. You're going to play. You're going to honor your contract. And that's the way it's going to be, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like Daryl Morey isn't giving up Ben Simmons for anything cheap. Even though he knows he's not worth it, he's still going to stick to his cards. And play his game the way he wants to play it. And organizations know that. Like, they know they're not going to try to finesse Daryl Morey. Like, you're like, what? Like, that's not going to happen. Yeah. Yeah, I just think it's BS of what Rich is doing and Ben. Like, it makes, because a lot of teams are watching, a lot of if you're an owner, you're not going to want to go for a guy who's missing out on games, missing money, $10 million, north of $10 million. Then make it up these stories, which he is. He's making this just so that way he could try to get off. Because he hasn't even spoke to the media or anything. This guy's showing up like I don't know,
I
man.
mean, he's showing up at practice with his cell phone
With
in
a
his
phone
pocket,
in a pocket,
and
half-ass.
he's half-assing the drills. He's not really like into it. And to me, it's like if I'm the 76ers, I know that Doc Rivers kicked him out of practice. It's like, yeah, I don't want you in practice either if this is the attitude that you are gonna have for the rest. I mean, what is this like? Let's say that another team, potentially is interested. Are the actions that Ben Simmons is showing right now actions that say, you know what, I do kind of want this guy on my team. He could do something for us. Or are they going to be like, okay, so when the going gets tough, we know that Ben Simmons is not going to be a guy that's going to really be stronghold. He's going to be a guy that's like, well, let me just back off a little bit. I'm not really going to be about that. And to me, like when I see that, when I know that Ben Simmons, especially as an organization, I know the talent that Ben Simmons is. I'm not going to deny his talent. As much as I, criticize him, he is a very talented player.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's the situation that you talked about, that one of the Gavani talked about in one of the streams that I talked about. Man, I keep saying that talked about. In one of the streams that I mentioned a long time, or maybe a couple weeks ago, where I talked about Gavani, where his assessment was that he's not receptive to criticism. He's not receptive to someone demanding something of him or asking him to change something. He's very not receptive to it. He's very anti anything, and that to me is one of those situations. I look at it, and I shouldn't get that feeling with Ben Simmons. I feel like Ben Simmons should be much better than that.
But that's who he is, right? You can't try to think something of somebody if that's not who they are. This guy is like that. Like he, like that's what he is. It just, he doesn't want to be there, man. And like Joel Embiid coming out and saying, I think when they were on a little win streak, right? And he came out and was like, yeah, we want our brother back, blah, blah, blah. They're not saying anything now. Now that they're on this losing streak, now that he's hurt, I don't hear them saying anything now.
Yeah.
So it's all smoke. It's all smoke, man. Like it's all smoke.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
just
I
just don't believe it.
Go
ahead.
No, the only thing I was going to say, the 76ers really, I think the mentality of the 76ers, and I talked about this before, the mentality of the 76ers years ago to me is what really, I think, messed up this whole situation for Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, along with themselves. I think everybody has a part to blame in this story. And I think the part to blame is just this losing culture, this losing mentality of saying, like, you can collect a paycheck while we're losing. And I just think that mentality is stuck with those guys for a very long time. And I don't think they had a coach come in to hold Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons accountable for kind of the stuff that they've done throughout their whole time.
Yeah. It's a crazy story, man.
It's a crazy and sad story too, because again, whether Ben Simmons can shoot a 3-pointer or not, I've criticized it before, but I still think that his defensive prowess and playmaking ability, like, you still can't deny that from Ben Simmons, and it's still going to be useful in the NBA. But the problem is that the baggage, or kind of the instant, like, the whispers that people hear when Ben Simmons comes to your team will be this, like, yeah, Ben Simmons doesn't come around if you ask him to do something, if you challenge him, if you disagree with him. Like, it shouldn't be like that. Again, I know we are creatures where, and maybe this is just today's society, we don't like to take criticism. I can be like that sometimes, and that just be my stubbornness, right? But I think that we need to start being a little bit more open and more accepting of, okay, we are all different, but we all have our quirks. We all have something that we can bring to the table. And I just don't necessarily get that with Ben Simmons. I feel like he's a very, like, I'm right, you're wrong type of person.
Yeah, I think the same way. Yeah, it's crazy with that guy, man. I just think I don't think nobody's gonna trade for him this year. I think he's just gonna probably be out and maybe try to improve himself. Do post some more post workouts. I mean, workouts in the gym of him shooting threes with nobody guarding him or a ball boy. Nobody's trading for that guy this year. He would be a fool too.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of it. I mean, I'm trying to see Rich Paul's. I mean, I feel like a lot of people are like Alvin Kamara left Clutch Sports.
Alvin did, yeah. Alvin Kamara, yeah, he left. Yeah, he left them. It's. I don't know how it's ran, but if you have somebody of his status leaving, it's not a good look. I just think since Rich has it all now, like he's not in the greedy. He's not in the days of him grinding, right? When he first had LeBron, like he's made a lot of money. He's with Adele. It's more, it's a lot to it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Clutch is ran now.
I'm trying to find the website. When it goes to like Rock Nation Sports Agency, like you get a website. There's like nothing for the website, man. I think like you look at like the people that are in this. Miles Bridges, great player. Contavious Caldwell-Pope, Draymond Green, Montrezl Harrell, Taylor Horton Tucker. Ben Mack. I think there's some great players in here. Obviously, some people are leaving, but I just think that, when I look at, some of the players that kind of go away from Clutch, it's one of those things that I just don't know, man. I think Clutch to me is
it's crazy.
To me, it's like I want to like. I think Rich is a very smart man. I think he's a very, very intelligent man, but there's just some times where it's just like some of the stuff I think you have to be realistic. Like I understand with the way that LeBron James kind of ran the player empowerment movement, and I really think that this is LeBron James's like doing. Like I think LeBron James did a great thing for players, like especially when it comes to like the end of their contract. They don't feel like they're necessarily bound by their previous teams. Like they're not bound by like for example LeBron. Let's go with LeBron's, right? He's not bound because the Cavaliers, that's his home team. That's where he's from. All that stuff. He's not bound by that. He was like, I made a choice, and that was it. But I feel like the player empowerment movement has swung so far the other way that now you have players like Ben Simmons and Rich Paul thinking that they can pull this power move, and that's just not the case. I don't think it ever will be the case. And then again,
their golden days are over, man.
I think the next collective bargaining agreement, I think the owners are really gonna. I really think they're gonna put their foot down with some of this stuff. Like they're not gonna be okay with some of it. And
yeah, I think so too.
They're gonna want the 50-50 split. I think that's what they're gonna want. Hell, they might even ask for more, to be honest. And this might be a huge contention for players and owners. They're gonna want more of the split, and they're gonna want more
of split of what in terms of contract?
Like revenue, and
revenue. Okay.
Yeah, I think they're gonna want more revenue, and I think they're also not gonna want this sort of like Ben Simmons situation to happen again. And they're gonna put something in there that's gonna allow the players, allow the owners and the organization to have a little bit more say when it comes to like the mental health stuff, in terms of like, let's work together or some sort of, they're probably going to go through some third party just to kind of get rid of some bias. I think at least that's what I would do if I was the ownership group and or even just the commissioner. I would ask like, let's have a third party examine them that we can both agree on, that allows us to, kind of get a better understanding of like where everybody's at instead of it. And I think another thing too, they're going to be like, well, we're going to hold the money until this player's ready to go. We're going to give him the food. We're going to give him like the housing stuff. We're going to give him all this stuff, but we're not going to give him that big contract until he feels like he's ready to play. And I really do think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how all this goes, man. Like it's weird times right now. Like,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
we'll see how things are going.
We definitely will. But I guess other than that, let us know in the comment section down below. What do you guys make of this Ben Simmons story? Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree with my assessment? Do you guys disagree with me and Tyrese? Let us know in the comment section down below. Are you guys on the side of Rich Paul, or are you guys thinking that this is crazy? Like I said, let us know in the comment section down below. Well, Tyrese, I think that's gonna do it here for the charge, unless you got something, man.
Yeah. What do you think about the Warriors? How they're doing right now? I mean, they're on a tear. They're beating the Bulls right now.
Yeah, man. I mean, they're looking good, man. They're definitely
Told you.
They're definitely not the Bull. They're definitely not the Warriors from last year, which, I think Jordan Poole really, Jordan Poole is on his way to winning Most Improved Player. Like it's looking like that right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jordan Poole's looking very, very good, man. Very good. The whole team is, like, even Gary Trent Jr. They're just looking very, very, like, contenders right now, like championship level.
Yeah, I'm gonna be curious to see when Wiseman gets back. I think he's gonna come back like Thanksgiving at some point, like that Thanksgiving week.
He's gonna be nice for them on screen and rolls, lobs. Wiggins is playing really good. I think I wouldn't be shocked if they try to go out and get a superstar of some sort.
I mean, they should with the
James Harden or some sort, somebody like that.
James Harden.
I mean, they could.
Yeah, I mean,
they have some good guys who teams would want, right? Like they have some guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's gonna be a very interesting situation to see like the Warriors, and I kind of want to see like them in December and see like what their team is really looking like, to really get a good, like, better understanding of this Warriors team. I still think it's early, and I think when teams come the second time around, I kind of am curious to see how they're gonna play against some competition, like in terms of like how they're gonna play the competition again, and then when they get to the playoffs, like how is the competition gonna be for them? But hey, man, they're playing really well. They're, Steph Curry's on a tear, and I think this team is so much balanced than in years past. It kind of reminds me of the first Warriors team, when there wasn't that, third superstar, and it was kind of like two guys, and then, everyone else is like contributing a great amount. But
yeah, we'll see.
We'll definitely see. Well, Tyrese, I think that's going to do it here for the charge. I do want to thank you once again for coming on, man. It's always a blast having you on here. I think I'm thinking about streaming tomorrow. Not sure what time. Like, I really want to stream for the Gonzaga Texas game, but I'm afraid I'm going to be out of the house that time just because I'm picking up my parents from the airport. So I will keep everyone updated as what time I'll stream. Like I said, it'll either be Saturday or Sunday since I didn't stream on the weekday. So I do apologize for not streaming on the weekday. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody for coming here on The Charge, getting the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. Please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, guys. Remember, the more likes, the more subscribes, the more that we can really get this channel going and getting it started. I really want to show the channel you guys love. I want to do a giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. I want to do a giveaway. I want to start making some great merchandise for you that's not Gildan, or at least not from the Streamlabs merchandise store. I want to do the merchandise myself. And I did have one of my students actually make me a beat, and I'll probably I will probably put it out on Monday or at some point when I stream during the weekday to put that out for everybody. But yeah, man, thank you, Tyrese, again for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Always a pleasure. And hopefully we can do this maybe this weekend if you're able to.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Anyway, guys, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe. I've said this a million times, and I'll say it again. The more likes, the more subscribers, the more that we can start this channel and get it going. Anyway, guys, my name is Bernie. Thank you again, Tyrese, for coming on the show, and we'll catch everybody on the next episode. Peace out, everybody. Peace.